Hey, this is Jasmine Haley, your host of the Beyond the Prophy podcast. And our guest for this week's episode is going to fix your life, or at least try to. And let me tell you why, because this is a topic we need to talk about as clinicians. I would love to welcome Caitlin Parsons. She has over 13 years experience in the dental field, 10 years experience as a dental hygienist, and has been working in a group practice in Encinitas, California. That was horrible. I just destroyed that. She focuses on whole health and advanced hygiene model for over 5 years. She's passionate about educating, supporting, and serving her patients. And what's very interesting about her is that after she became a dental hygienist, she turned to yoga therapy as a way to manage pain in her body. And after 1,000 hours of study, she is now a certified yoga therapist. She has founded Healers Within Yoga Therapy, and she continues to marry her love with dental and the wellness field by educating us, dental professionals, other healthcare professionals, on proper alignment, posture, reducing pain, stress management. The Lord knows how much we need it. And she has a 3-month online program for hygienists and webinars also to help us to be able to serve our patients to the fullest capacity. So welcome. I can't wait for this conversation today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and just chat with you.
Yeah, me too. I feel personally, of course, because I'm always gonna tell you my opinion. On the show, I definitely will. Not so much in person. But what's interesting is that practitioners are in pain within. I think there's a lot of pain within, as well as externally. And then we have to come into our place of employment with a smile on our face and dealing with the nuances of a work culture and some of the energy that's coming from our patients. And so we're stressed out to the max. I feel like there's so many of us that want to leave our profession because we're burnt out. We're just tired on all different levels. So let's dive in deep, Caitlin, and just talk about like your reason, your why behind what you're doing. And then let's really dive into like actionable steps that they can take to really better their patient care by taking better care of themselves.
Yeah. Oh my God. I just love everything you just said. You just hit like the nail on the head, that whatever that saying is. But it's so, I mean, the more I'm talking to hygienists now and just getting out there and meeting new people, it's like, I'd say like 90% of hygienists or 95% are in pain physically. And if they're in pain physically, like that affects so much of your life. Like you said, I mean, motivation, your energy level, like, and then we have to like deal with employee or like our coworkers and what their energy is and your patients and trying to balance that all and maintain your own sanity and showing up in your best way is a challenge. So I got into this journey because I was in pain, because I think a year out of college working 5 to 6 days a week like most of us do, like yes, go get it, make money, this is the best, and then soon realized like, oh my God, my body, what is happening? I had pain, like, and I still do have discomfort, like left side. I'm just pointing to my left side. It's mostly left side. A lot of us have that left or right side. But not only was I like having all these areas of pain, but I had less energy. I wasn't feeling like I could show up. And so I started to find ways that I would feel better. And yoga was one of them. And I started to kind of get more curious of, well, if this hot yoga class, it's designed for just any average human, makes me feel better, what would something that is designed for people that like with what we do essentially, what would that be like? And how could I get an even better effect? And I started just getting more curious, found a yoga therapy program, moved across the country from Boston to San Diego.
Wow.
And, I know, right? Like what? My parents were like, what? I thought you just graduated and you're good with dental hygiene at your office. What are you doing?
I love it though.
Yeah. And I started to be like, well, if I'm feeling this, and I was 22 at the time, I was like, everyone or a lot of hygienists have to be feeling this. So that was my big draw, my big drive to move across the country, is like, I want to help me. I want to figure my stuff out. And then once I figure me out, I want to help others, because we all need to feel better. And once I started to feel better, I started to realize, like, oh my God, yeah, I have more energy. I'm like way more outgoing. I show up more. I'm like way more excited to learn more and just be more present with my patients. And I realized that when I was more present, when I was more excited about what I was sharing with my patients, they were more excited. They got better results. And like, that was like, I just got the chills saying that, because it's just such a cool moment. I think that's why a lot of us are hygienists, of course, because like, you know, it's supposed to be better and we can work 2 days a week, but we all love helping people. We all love making people feel better. And if we're coming from a crap place and we don't feel good physically and mentally and energetically, we're not going to show up and be our best selves for our patients. So,
yes.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, we know it's good for us to be doing this, right? To be exercising, to be being more mindful, but there's a mindset that's necessary for you to make that behavioral change.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about a little bit of those roadblocks to really getting to that place of, okay, I have these tools that Caitlin is providing me, but yet I still don't want to take that step.
Mm-hmm.
Do you often find that in like your training with individuals?
Yeah, totally. So I find this with just any human being. And especially as hygienists, because we're like, we are such givers. We give all our energy essentially to everyone. Then we go like, that I think I'm disconnect with hygienists, that a lot of us aren't taking care of ourselves. So there's like a big gap, like you said. So how do we get to that next level? And I think it really starts with small baby steps. So I created actually like a free chairside guide that hygienists can grab, that it's like, let's start stretching at work during, you know, our lunch break, between our patients. Let's see how that feels. And I think once you get that positive feedback of like, ooh, my shoulders feel so much better. And when my shoulders feel better, I am, you know, not clenching my jaw or not doing this, and I feel better. So once we get those moments of like positive feedback, it's like, okay, then I want the next piece. Then I want the next piece. So that's kind of like, I think the entryway is like starting bit by bit to like, I try and make things like really digestible, you know, palatable for people, so that they can, on their way to work or on a lunch break, listen to like a 1-minute breathing exercise or meditation that doesn't have to be this woo-woo stuff, but like, oh, I feel more calm. I feel more clear. There's something there. And then you want more of that. Does that make sense?
Yes. I mean, you were speaking to me, honey. Because like everyone, we need those little baby steps. Like, I mean, just think about it. Okay, let's just say take chair side. Now, we know that when we were in school, we wanted, well, at least me, we wanted to put everything on the table. Like, here's your water pick, here's your floss, here's your interdental brushes, here's just everything. All right, and now just use it all, right? Because we're gonna get the pinkest, most firm gingiva that you can see in this entire planet, right? And then that person's like, oh, this is too much. I can't deal with it. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's immediately what I thought of. It's just like when we're educating our patients. And but what's so funny is, here's the thing, we don't extend enough grace to ourselves to do the same and taking those baby steps towards that. And I love the idea of stretching in your operatory in those breaks and finding like some small quiet moments.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that analogy, because that's actually what I say. Like, we are literally just our patients. And when I give my patients, like, why don't you floss in your car on the way to, like, at a stoplight, or why don't you floss in the shower? Like, make it easy. And then they're like, eyes light up. They're like, oh, it doesn't have to be at night at 9 p.m. when I'm tired or when I'm drunk and I just crawl to bed. Like, that's when I feel like a lot of patients that have that big disconnect, that's when they're like, ooh, got it. Yeah. And going to like that silent thing, like we all need more quiet to feel more like, I went to bed last night. I worked all day, 9 patients. And then I went to a event after and just talked a lot. And I came home and I was like 8:30 in bed, 8:30 at night. I just crawled into bed and my partner's like, are you okay? Are you like mad at me? I'm like, you don't get it still after like 7 years somehow, but like, I just need some quiet. I love you. And I love quiet.
Exactly. Like, I am totally content. I'm introvert by nature. And I am content being by myself in silence. The older I get, the more I yearn for it.
Yeah.
And I have children, so even more so, because when they get home, it's like an elephant stampede. And I'm just like, why? You know? So, I mean, it's in those quiet moments too that I feel are necessary for me to really know myself, talk to myself. So here's the thing. I'm not, yeah, I am one of those crazy people. Yeah, I will talk to myself. I talk out loud, and that's okay. But I was watching an interview with Ellen and Lupita, oh my goodness, what is her last name? Lupita Nyong'o. And she went to a retreat for, I think, 2 weeks where you speak to no one. You speak to no one. Like, there's talking periods, like absolutely necessary, but like after that, like there's no communication, no interaction. Like, you are seriously by yourself, no cell phone, no television, no music. And I wonder, you know, what that's like. I mean, I almost yearn to even try that.
I did a 10-day silent retreat. And
you did it?
Yeah. And I thought it was like a regular retreat. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to like go pamper myself. It's going to be the best. And then I found out like a few days before that it was silent. And I was like, I wish someone could have just like been in my thoughts and recorded them. Actually, I don't, but I was like, what? But then after, it was literally like after like day 1 or day 2, it was kind of really awkward. It was uncomfortable because you were with people, but not communicating. Oh my God. But like the clarity I found and like the focus and attention to what really drives me and what makes me excited came back. And there was like a joy that came back and like a spark. And I think we're just so inundated, never mind work, but like commercials and social media. And like, there's so much that like we need downtime. And where we're not giving ourselves downtime, we don't even know who the heck we are, or like what we stand for, or like what motivates us or what brings us joy. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm telling you, like, when Friday night comes, like, I seriously don't want to check. Like, I turn off all my email notifications. That is huge for me.
Yeah.
I only know what's in my email when I open up a browser. Like, I was like, later for this. I can't do it. I was getting so anxious by every bing, 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 bing. It was just nonstop. And it's so much pressure that we put on ourselves. And then you come like this, like, hi, I'll take care of your teeth today. Because you're like, you're like overexposed, like, to just so much pressure all day. No wonder, you know, there's so many of us that are just completely burnt out. How can we be caregivers? And yet our society is constantly on, like there's no off.
Totally. I know I actually have this thing where lately all my client or like my patients will be like, ask them how they are, and they ask me, and I'm like, I just want to someday tell them actually the truth. Like, I'm tired. I didn't want to come to work today. Like, obviously I would, but it's like we were like, great, everything's cool, and we're actually inside like stewing on what our doctor said or what our front office said or our kids or whatever. It's like, it's hilarious that we really don't get to authentically be ourselves. And if we're not ever allowing ourselves to do that, I think there's a big disconnect. And that's when we reach burnout, or we just feel like we're giving so much and not to ourselves. Yeah. We could just talk all day, girl.
You touch me because, you know, in fact, I was driving. So I messed up my schedule, right? And I couldn't cancel my workout classes because they'll charge me for it. So that's a great incentive for me. I don't want you taking my money. So the little money that I do have. So I had a kickboxing class this morning, almost died, right? And then I had a Pilates class that I could not get out of. So I went to that. And I'm just like, I'm not making it. Like, I was told the guy, like, listen, don't come to me. Like, if I'm taking a rest, don't even try to pump me up to do it. I'm just not. I'm just going to lay there and breathe, right? But what's so funny is I actually still felt really amazing. And as I was driving home, I was saying to myself, I just want to be happy. I just want to have peace.
Mm.
I just want that. And it's possible for us to create that. And it's necessary for us to create that when it comes to our lives. Like this is a whole different tangent from what we were talking about. But I'm at that place now that I don't want, for me in particular, I'm an empath, I'm a people pleaser. So I tend to put all of these things on my shoulders, which then leaves me in a state of unrest, never at peace. And I think when we set that affirmation for ourselves, regardless of what personality you have, it will manifest itself even in our professional life, in our personal life. Like, it's all interconnected. So I don't know where I'm going with that, but I just want to say that that was what I was saying to myself as I was driving, and thinking of what kind of impact, how else do I really want to live my life?
Yeah, I think we get caught up. I'm sure if you said that, I resonate. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to resonate too, especially obviously hygienists. But yeah, I don't know where I was going to go with that part.
That's fine.
Whatever.
We're jamming.
Yeah.
That's what I love about the fact that these conversations will always, I used to do scripted questions. I don't do that anymore. I feel like there's something beautiful about the human connection. So even though I like to be by myself, and after being in a place all day and talking to people, I'm done. Yeah. But I think that there's something really beautiful about connecting and understanding people and hearing their journeys.
Yeah.
So when you were speaking, you had mentioned that you created a resource guide. You've got to tell the listeners where they can find that resource guide.
Yeah. Can I send you the link? Is that
yes, you
possible?
Can.
Okay. So a couple of things. I have a free Facebook group. It's called Foundation to Freedom. And I share the guide in there. I do little mini classes or meditations or breathing practices, share some inspiration, education, all that good stuff. So it's called Foundation to Freedom. You can find it on Facebook. I'll share the link for my chairside guide with you for sure. Yeah. And then I have a 3-month program that I created, but it's really for people that are kind of ready to take that next step. But for people that aren't, I recommend finding more things that bring you joy. And I'm finding a few really simple practices that light me up or that reconnect me to me and kind of bring me back to that place of peace, of contentment. Because it's kind of based on what you were saying of we're always living for the next thing, right, we're going to work, we're getting the kids after, we're doing all these things. And when we're not in the moment, in the present, that's when we get we're not happy. We're out of alignment because we're in the future, and being in the future or in the past is either anxiety or stress. And when we're constantly in that stress mode, again, we're not in the present moment. So a few things that really are profound for me is breathing every day. When I actually had to make little Post-its in my op to be breathe. If a patient stresses me out or the doctor comes in or doesn't come in, you know how that is. I'm just okay, I'm going to take just 5 super conscious breaths, and it just calms me down. It brings me back to the center and what really matters, not being 3 minutes late for my next patient or whatever. So breathing is super important. Meditation, and it doesn't have to be this super, you sit on a pad for 25 minutes in the corner of your room. It doesn't have to be this crazy thing. You can meditate while you're on a walk. You can meditate while you're driving your kids to school. You choose how you are in your internal space, I think. And that can kind of dictate how you show up from there. But another really profound thing that I've been doing a lot lately is just writing, journaling. I call it a brain dump in a lot of ways. I just literally get all the crap out of my head, even if it's why am I talking about my toothpaste, or why am I talking about my dog's eating habits? But just we were bogged down with all the stuff that it's once you get it out and on paper or out of your head, you could do this in a voice memo too. Or on your phone in notes if you're not a writer or your hand hurts, got it. but just like getting things out so that you have more clarity, more peace to be like, okay, now that I got all that out, like what's actually a priority? It's this, this, and this. What can I table for right now? And it's these things. And what really doesn't matter, it's all of this stuff.
Right.
And sometimes just like getting it out of your freaking head so you're not a monkey mind is so much better.
It's so true, because one of the hardest journeys I've had in my life have been entrepreneurship and motherhood. And I was feeling I was going through a cycle of feeling down and just feeling like, oh, when does it ever give? Like my nanny didn't show up and I've had to interview, then I'm looking for an assistant. So it's like all of this stuff coming down. And my father gifted me this past weekend a journal. And I actually sat Monday and Tuesday whenever I felt like it and just sat and just wrote. And it felt like I could finally just like all the stuff I don't want to say out loud. Like all the crap you don't want anybody to really know. Like, well, I'm going to get rid of this, by the way. I'm not even going to show you what it looks like because it's sitting right
just
here.
Burn it.
Right? Like everything, you just like you want to scream to the top of your lungs and you're just like, you're able to pour it out and just feel like a release. It's a huge release. And I love the fact that you mentioned that because something so simple can have such a major impact.
Yeah.
For you.
And I feel like for people that are like, journaling's not my thing. Like it seems a little woo woo or like too sappy. And it's like, just try it. Try it for like 4 days in a row and then come back to me and tell me you don't like it. Because I feel like once you just start, you're like, oh, it's like really cathartic because you're just like, I feel like we feel so many different things and emotions, and it's like once you get it out, you're like, okay, I'm not angry anymore, or I'm not sad anymore. Like you can just kind of like, or how to move through it a little bit easier. And I think when we start to do that, we start to understand ourselves better, and then we start to know, okay, what makes me happy or what brings me joy? You start to understand yourself better and how to support yourself better.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and it's a journey.
Oh,
yeah.
Child.
Yeah, there's no arriving, just so we know. I'm always like, why aren't I just there yet? Where I'm just like happy or just like successful or just like this. And it's like, we are there, but it's a journey. It's just we constantly change. So the path does, right? Ugh.
Yeah. And I have to remind myself of that. Like, I'm definitely better than where I was a couple of years ago, but it doesn't end. Like I have to consistently continue to pour into myself in whichever shape or form so I can continue, like you said, evolve as a person, as an individual. For me, particularly because I wear many hats, as you do as well. Women, we do. As a professional woman, as a caretaker, as a partner, wife, relationship. If you're in a relationship, woo! I mean, that's a whole nother podcast. But so tell me
next week.
Right. So tell me, what are like let's just say two really quick stretches someone can do in between their patients when they're trying to get, kind of that reset before they move on to the next person?
Okay. Two, that's such a hard one. I feel like the biggest thing for a lot of us is just increasing circulation to our body, our spine, even as simple as like neck rolls, as shoulder rolls. But like you can do a cat cow. I have this in my chairside guide, but like people think about yoga and like being on all fours, but you can do like a literally simple cat cow where you're arching your back, pressing your shoulders back, opening the chest, and then rounding the back, getting that tension out of the back. And just, literally it can be as simple as that, like side bending, good. Right? Yeah. Like it can be simple. So that's why I created this chairside guide, because I'm like, we just need to hang it up till we know it and it's ingrained in our head. But anytime you can just move your joints, like move your shoulders, because we're like they're in one position or like two, and we become like the Tin Man where these are our only positions and we can't move out of it. So just increasing circulation. I'd say, I guess, like neck and shoulder rolls and like cat cow.
I love that. I actually cannot wait for you to send me that guide. I'm going to put it right here on my wall, because I have like an indicator on my phone that tells me when to stand up. which is good.
Yeah.
And I have a standing desk too, so I can stand up and work if I need to.
Yep.
And I have I should put all of these links in there. I also have a pad for my feet, so I'm not standing on the hardwood floors that we have. And it's been really phenomenal being able to go between that while doing the work that I do. So
yeah.
anywho, okay, so I got to give you my last question. This has been such a great conversation. The last question is, what was the best personal or professional advice you've ever been given?
Ooh, that's so good. I want to say, oh my gosh, that's a tough one. I feel like what comes out for me to share isn't necessarily something I've received as advice, but what I like to share with others, and what I think from maybe other people and just me as a combination, is just be you and know what brings you joy and do that more. Because when we're not coming and living and doing things that bring us joy, we literally can get into like the hole or the sinking in. So even if joy is like literally putting on your favorite song and dancing like no one's watching, hopefully no one is, so you can actually dance like you want to and let it all out. But like, do more things that bring you joy and start living from that place. And sometimes it's like we fake it till we make it, but like we got to start somewhere. So do more of what brings you joy, and watch how your relationships evolve and change. Watch how your work, watch how you just show up in a different way when you're doing more things that bring you joy. And again, it doesn't have to be like, I pay for this retreat, or I pay for this, or this massage, although those are all awesome. What can you do that's like, you don't have to pay for it. It could take you 5 minutes and you just jump into that joy state, literally dancing. And I'm like such an awkward, lanky human that like dancing for me, I was like, now it's like, it feels so good and releasing. Yeah. All of you are probably rolling your eyes out there, but try it.
You know what? I love it. It's what I do. I mean, I seriously, I like to bust a move. I like to do anything that makes me shake my booty, and literally shake my booty. So I love that. I love that. All right. So let the listeners know, again, where they can find you, how they can contact you.
Yeah, I'd love to connect. So you could email me. I am at hello@healerswithin.com. My website is healerswithin.com. Of course, it's under construction right now. And then I have either my Foundation to Freedom, it's the 3-month online program, or Foundation to Freedom, a free Facebook group. So send me a message. I'd love to connect. I'd love to send you my chairside guide, anything. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks again, Caitlin. I can't thank you enough for being on the show.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.